Okay, everyone, welcome to another edition of our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. This week is a double portion. It is Matot and Maseh, where we are in volume 21, Matot. There is no Zohar that is known to us for Maseh. That doesn't mean it's not there, just it's not been revealed. And there's only 6 paragraphs in Matot. So one of the things our teachers teach us is that, well, it certainly doesn't mean there's less energy this week. There's double their energy. There's actually a double portion. So that must mean that these 6 paragraphs each are loaded with a tremendous amount of energy. So we have that going for us. So let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rav Shlag, Rav Brandvan, the Uriah Kodesh, Ramchal, Rav Tarfon, Rav Aram Azulai, Rav Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolonimus Shapira Pia Setzner, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimon Bayachai and all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl. Also today is the anniversary of elevation of Rav Meir of Apta, who was a student of the Chozeh of Lublin, the seer of Lublin. Also, a reminder that tomorrow night and Sunday is the anniversary of elevation of Joseph Tzaddik, Joseph the Righteous. So it's a tremendous opportunity to connect to the energy of Yesod, which is the 6th Sphira of Zeranpin, which is physical and spiritual sustenance. I mean, everything comes through Yesod. So Saturday night, great opportunity to light a candle, read some Zohar, take a bath. I mean, all those things, anything that gives us the ability to raise our consciousness about the opportunity and the energy that's there. So that's one thing that's going on. Another thing that's going on is, first of all, we want to have a consciousness as we connect to the Zohar and as we connect to our spiritual work. We want to have a consciousness of taking the energy that we connect with and sharing it with the whole world from wherever we are. We have that ability. And it's about us actually. And we've all studied Zohars. I've talked about this. We've actually studied Zohars this week, which talk about the importance of as the children of Israel, of channeling this energy from the flawless universe, of channeling the energy of miracles, the energy of healing, the energy of sustenance, from the upper realm, where it lies in potential, into our realm, which is the realm of manifestation. So that we want to have that consciousness, and let's also have consciousness of healing for those we need healing, of removing negativity from the world, of protection from evil eye and evil speech, of guarding ourselves against slipping into evil eye and evil speech, and also the energy of treating everyone with human decency, and also connecting, really important all the time, but especially this year, this time of the year, connecting to the energy of ahavat chinam, unconditional love. Because we're in the 3 weeks, the 3 referred to as the 3 negative weeks. It is an intense period of time. And so we want to walk gingerly. We want to proceed on our journey very carefully, because it's much easier to slip up this time of year into reactivity. And there's nothing more reactive, well, there probably is, but the thing I think about is nothing more reactive is unconditional hatred, sinat chinam. And the Talmud and sources discuss that is why the 2 temples were destroyed, because of baseless hatred. And in the 3 weeks culminate with the 9th of Leo, the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, which was when both temples were destroyed. The 9th of Av is not a negative day because both temples were destroyed on that day. Both temples were destroyed on that day because of the energy of that day. And so we are approaching that day. And so it's just some more intense energy. And so whatever kind of chaos is showing up in your life right now, that's why. We're being visited by opportunities to remove the shackles, to remove the blinders, to remove the blockages and the klipot, the shells that stand in the way of us fully manifesting the best versions of ourselves, the reason why we came here, aligning ourselves with our soul's purpose. So there's always a good opportunity to do that, but it's especially good now because our negativity is going to be coming up. That's what's about. That's one of the clear points of the negative 3 weeks. And we also have next week the new moon of Leo. So we're transitioning from Cancer, Tammuz, to Leo, the month of Av. And then after the 9th of Av, the energy shifts and starts to become very positive. And we get to Tu B'Av, the 15th of the month of Leo, which is like, our St. Valentine's Day. It's a day where we connect to unconditional love, to soulmate energy, and not just with partners, with everyone in our lives. So there's a lot going on, which is great. Any questions about any of that? Okay. So let's go to verse 1 of Matot. Anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Ron, thank you. Paragraph 1. V'chol ataf benashim asher la yadu mishkav zachar taman tanenan. Amar Rabbi Yehuda ein ha'olam mitnaheg ela bitrei gavnim de'atu mistar itatad ish techachat chakimat liba hadahu dichtiv v'chol isha chachmat lev b'yadeha tavu v'yaviyu mat ve et hadachela et ha'argaman uman matyan et hadachelat et ha'argaman Gavnin Dachlilan Bigo Gavabnin. Okay, we're gonna go slow with English because there's a lot packed into these verses. And I'm not sure where it's going. I'm just telling you right now.
All right. But all the women, children that have not known man by lying with him, in relation to this.
Okay, wait a second. That's a verse from Bamidbar. And it's a reference to women, children that have not known man by lying with them. We know that that can be summarized as a single word, virgin. So the energy in this first verse is the energy of virginity. Well, that's an interesting topic. But I want us to think of this in the most expansive way possible. Because verses, and we've studied this in Balak recently, like yesterday, we've studied this in Balak. The energy of that's packed into the verses in the Torah, there's both a literal explanation, and then there are multiple layers beyond that. So in one sense, this verse is here because it's discussing this aspect of virginity. And in another level, like, how does that relate to our lives right here and now? So there must be something more that's there. And it's that I want to delve into. So how does this apply to us? And how does this apply to our world? It can't just be limited to this simple rule that comes out from this verse. There's significantly more purpose, meaning, and energy behind that relates to our lives. Everyone with me so far? So what is the energy of virginity? What is it? Like when you think of a virgin, like what are the adjectives that come to mind, Peter?
I was going to say the adjective that comes to mind is pureness, but I think the reality of what we're really saying is it's unadulterated energy, right? It hasn't been short-circuited.
Right. Because on the one hand, when you go from not lying with a man to lying with a man, there is a transition. But on the other hand, there's this energy of purity that is always there. So we can look at it as going from pure to impure, but that's not even the case. We might connect with impure energy, but to a certain degree, and a very important degree, we always have the energy of the Creator inside us. If you're here, you have the pure energy of the Creator. So there's contradictions here. There's many levels of paradox here.
I have another word. I don't know if it's gonna cause some conjecture or not, but like fertility in a way, virginity's, because it can go, we have choices and it can go a pure direction, a pure channel, or a less pure channel, right? Or an
So,
impure
okay,
channel, right?
so let's go back to the fertility point. Let's put the purity thing aside. Let's just talk about fertility. That's an energy of creating life, right? Think in terms of like, what are among the most significant things that we can do in the world is like channel a life into the world. This is like seed level for changing the world. Right? And it can't just be through through inception. Because inception is not just limited to, by the way, great movie. Inception is just not limited to a man and woman coming together. It is. I mean, that's significant. It's also in every relationship that we have. It's seed level for every relationship that we have. So to a certain degree, we're talking about what is my consciousness when I begin a relationship. Could be a business relationship, could be, we think of it in much more terms of personal relationships. We probably also think of it in terms of soulmate relationships. We can think about it just all our interactions with people. It's not even the first interaction. It just could be the first interaction of a day. Like, where is our consciousness?
You know what else? Oh,
Please, no, Suzanne, please. Yes.
cool. Okay, so what's coming to mind now is creator energy, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's all encompassing, right? Like beyond a sexuality concept. I mean, it deals with
Yes.
conception, but yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we have that energy of the creator, that pureness that we have inside us. So it's like, is that what we are bringing to our interactions? I heard it said recently, I don't remember what context it was. It may have been the Global Kabbalah One with David Guion this week. He said something like, we need to see the creator in every interaction that we have with a person. We need to see the creator in them. The creator is in them, in every person that we interact with. Is that energy of creation and the energy of creator. And that's what we want to bring to every interaction at the seed level. Not a corrupted energy, but the energy of purity. And that involves like, where is my agenda? Like, even showing up to this class, what's our agenda? Our agenda here is to, like, we talk about it when we start the class. We want to be manifesting more positive energy and blessings in the world. We start every class out like that because that is seed level.
Can I say something about so I remember in one class that I took with Marcus, he said like it's just crucial what you do the first thing in the morning, right? Like it's just really crucial because you ever heard of that where like it sets the tone for the whole day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and I'm just like kind of reflecting like, a lot of times, I mean, part of the time I'm just in robotic mode in the morning, But I just thought that was really impactful, how he said that.
Absolutely. It's a great point. But again, that's another beginning. Like, when we said the Modeh Ani, which is one of the verses that we said when we wake up, it's like, I'm thanking the creator for returning my soul. That is the purest aspect of ourselves. So like, isn't that also like, before we engage in our day, aren't we also coming from that place of purity?
Mhm.
We are. And it's like, so how are we going to engage with the day? So as we read further in this verse, let's keep that view there. It's like, it's about all beginnings.
Hey, David, your analogy, how awesome is the teaching you just shared when you said, when we wake up and we say the Modani, which is, it's been suggested to us that should be the first thing we say as we wake up. And think about how long does it take for us to become impure, right? To do something that isn't connected to the creator. And I don't mean that negatively.
No,
but
it's natural, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting in the context of this paragraph, or this, we haven't even gotten back to the first sentence with the virgin, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
really, I mean, when we, sexuality has such what, negative, I'm sorry,
Yes.
negativity associated with it. Everything that we do, how quick do we short circuit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great point. Suzanne?
So I just want to add one more layer to actually in like a dual way of looking at it. It's like, so it's this self-examination of, am I receiving for the self alone, or am I receiving to share? And doing that throughout the day, those checkpoints, like Michael talked about, certain prayers we could do throughout from here on out, 100 times a day. I forget what the name of it was. But the other thought is like, my teacher talked about this week, Rachel Santos. She said, where is our cup? We talk about the concept of the cup and the vessel where where am I pushing it away where I can't let it in? Where the
Right.
cup's overflowing and you got to break the vessel open, right? Like, where am I pushing it away? And I'm just so not open. Right. And I was like, wow, that's a really good one.
Yes. So every time we kind of get off track and it's like desire to sheep in the self, it's that old analogy between here's my, 17-inch ounce bottle. It only holds 17 ounces. If it's open, it's unlimited. So where are we closed? Because the more open we are, the more we can channel, the more light we can channel into the world. And again, that openness comes from a desire to receive for the sake of sharing. That's about our sharing. And we think about sharing, it's not just like, giving someone the shirt off my back or, giving money to charity. No, it's like, how do I show up when I'm engaging with other people? When I'm showing up as the best version of myself, I'm literally sharing my positive energy. Now, one might think I only have so much positive energy to share, but that's not true. It's coming from the creator. The creator's unlimited. When I'm sharing the best version of myself, I'm sharing myself in an unlimited way. And I won't run out of energy. Certain things really sap us. It's when we have desire to receive for the sake of sharing. But when we're sharing, when we're receiving for the sake of sharing, we have unlimited energy. Eventually we'll fall asleep, but we have unlimited energy. I mean, this is the way that we kind of rejuvenate ourselves. And again, it's like, I can be in my life and try and be conscious. That's level one. Level two is I want to be the observer of how I'm showing up in life. Because when I'm the observer of how I'm showing up in life, that is an elevated consciousness. I could be driving a car, or I can be flying in a helicopter. In the helicopter, I'm elevated. Same trip, but I'm seeing a different perspective. So we want to be able to take a step back. And Rob teaches this in TLE, in 10 Luminous Emanations. That how do we elevate consciousness? Well, we, instead of working in the on the process, we're viewing the work that we're doing in the process. That's an elevated consciousness. And so that's what we're talking about here. We want to take a step back and view what's going on. That's looking at it from an elevated perspective. And that is also channeling an elevated energy into the world. Because if everyone could take a step back and see how they were showing up, we all might be showing up more giving, more sensitive, more tolerant, giving of ourselves. and restricting our reactivity.
You know, and on that note, David, I think about, especially this week, since it's the, our portion and stuff like that, it kind of hits home on a lot of levels, but I'm looking at the 3 weeks. I'm just going to use that term, the 3 weeks. And the chaos comes up, or a conflict or a challenge. And then you realize, wow, I'm really closed off here, or I don't think I can solve this, but I can, because it's obviously happening. So I need the new vessel, and I need to expand and open. And it's like the coffee cup where the coffee's spilling over, right? Like not letting it in. So it's like this awareness of like, wow, this is such a huge gift. Like, what a merit, first of all, to be able to see that it's a gift, because it's a challenge, right?
Right.
And maybe with old consciousness from a bazillion years ago, we might look at it as going, oh my God, you know what I mean? And why is this happening to me instead of for me, right? Like, yeah. And so I don't know, I just feel like very enlightened. This is like a 3-week massive enlightened opportunity to jettison forward and just cut through, like get to the shortcut, like just deal with it and move on. Let's go. Like, wasn't somebody, I don't know who it was talking about, we're reducing the judgments of the upcoming Yom Kippur by dealing with these 3 weeks, like the stuff.
We're getting a head
consciousness.
start. We are
Yeah.
definitely getting a head start as we embark on that journey towards the new year. Absolutely. And it's like, the more intense your experience is, the more you see about where my weaknesses are, where my flaws are, where my blockages are. So this level of intensity this time of year is assisting us with that. Okay, Ron, let's continue.
In relation to this, we learned that Rabbi Yehuda said the world is maintained by 2 colors only, white and red, namely Hasidim and Chokhmah of the left, that come from the aspect of the wise-hearted woman.
Okay, so we have a contrast. We have several contrasts there. The first one is just like colors. And when we talk about white and we talk about red, we're talking about white is chesed, the color of mercy. And when we talk about red, it's the color of gevurah, of judgment. And so we have, is it really just the color thing? No, it's an energetic thing. It's the energy of mercy and the energy of judgment, of restriction, of appreciation. And so we have those 2 energies. If we combine them, we probably have pink. It's not the same. I was once teaching I did a program on spirituality, and the person I did it with wanted to do another program, but wanted to control the agenda, didn't want me to have as much leeway. And my approach in the program was a much more spiritual approach, and theirs was a much more, let's say, less spiritual, much more dogmatic approach. And I said, look, I need leeway to do my spiritual approach. And they're like, well, we want to control the agenda. I'm like, look, you serve vanilla, I serve chocolate. I'm not doing a swirl. There's nothing wrong with the swirl. It's just that's not what I do. I need to be doing chocolate. Literally, that's when I feel in that context, it's what my role was to provide that contrast. Diluting it is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be serving chocolate ice cream. And I said, hey, look, we're both serving ice cream. Chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate. But I need to be providing the chocolate, because there's people out there that need the chocolate. So like we have red and white. Those are distinct energetic channels. We're not trying to combine them, because that would dilute their significance. We're just trying to prioritize them. In the context of red and white, it's always mercy over judgment. It's always white over red. It's always right over left column. So the verse continues, they come from the aspect of the wise-hearted woman. What's a wise-hearted woman? And understand that when we talk about the virgin in the verse from Bamidbar, how does wise-hearted woman relate to the energy of virginity? Anyone want to take a stab at it? We have this concept of like going from virgin to non-virgin of like, Peter, you used the word before, like, from pure to impure, let's just say. I mean, it's maybe not the best choice of words. But to a certain degree, we're going from naive to worldly, from inexperienced to experienced, from limited to more unlimited, from child to adult. What's a wise-hearted woman? This is a woman with the wisdom of her years.
David,
And what is she? Yes, Peter?
I would actually qualify. So everything that you described, obviously very accurate. We're very 1% qualifiers. So to me, what's happening is I've opened more channels, right? I mean that wise-hearted woman, the woman that went from a virgin to not, open more energetic channels to be able to see more, right? That's where the wiseness comes from.
That woman is participating in the creative process. And again, it's energetic.
Well, remember, when we say the creative process, we did an act that was like the creator. That's what you mean when we say.
Exactly. The creator created the world on the one hand. On the other hand, the creator recreates the world at every moment. The energy that is flowing into our world is taking place at every instant. It looks like it's constant. I mean, it is. It looks like it just happened and it stopped, but it doesn't. It's renewed at every instant. It's part of the illusion to say that it's stagnant. It's not stagnant, but it looks stagnant, but it's renewed at every instant. And so that is the creative process that's happening all the time. What's our role? Well, as we've studied in the Zohar, our role is to be like the angels were before Mount Sinai. Our role is to perfect the world, is to manifest more of the energy of perfection into the world. And part of how we do that is by being beings of receiving for the sake of sharing and of injecting mercy into all the things that we do. Mercy over judgment. And so what is the wise? How is it described? So Rabbi Yehuda says the world is maintained by two colors, meaning mercy and judgment. And they come from the aspect of wise-hearted women. Let's see what the Zohar says further about that. Ron?
Hence, it says, and all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands and brought that which they had spun, both of blue and of purple.
Okay.
What?
So that's a verse from Shemot, book 2 of the 5 books. And so they spin with their hands. Is this like a knitting class? We're all knitting white and red sweaters. Is that what it is? No. It's their ability to create that balance. That's balance. By the way, it says blue and of purple, but we're going to read those as red and white. So that's what the wise-hearted woman does. This is the energy of balance. So like for us, this is the ability to create balance in our lives, balance between receiving and sharing, balance between mercy and judgment. And when we create that balance, we open up the channels. And so this really is an energy of how we interact with the world and how we interact with the people in our lives. It's circuitry. Too much desire to receive for ourselves, not good balance. Too much sharing also not good balance. What do you mean? Why shouldn't we be sharing? Well, when you're in a relationship, you need to create enough space for both parties to be sharing. That's circuitry in a relationship, where I share and I allow someone to share with me in equal parts. If one party is sharing too much and one party is receiving too much, there's a lack of circuitry. Now, I'm going to cite the book, Conscious Loving, for this, which is like all about partnership relationships, a very famous book, all about partnership relationships and creating circuitry in relationships. And going from what the professionals refer to as a codependency in relationship to co-creation. And a co-creation is where both parties can engage in sharing and receiving, having a life and having a life within the partnership. And that's circuitry. Any questions about that? Let's keep going.
What did they bring? The scripture says blue and purple, which are colors contained within colors. That is, there are two main colors, white and red, and blue and purple colors are included within these two colors.
So to a certain degree, that's Zohar kind of helping us understand that blue and purple is still talking about the white and red. So on another level, things are not always as they appear. I mean, it is blue and purple, but energetically it's white and red. And so we have to keep our minds open to the idea that even though things show up a certain way in our life, that's the appearance. That's not the internal energy. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover. And so this also plays out in the context of relationships, because for good reasons, people show up in relationships not as their most authentic selves. And another important aspect of relationships, in order that there be circuitry, is to be as authentic, to show up as authentically as we can. And that takes a little bit of work and a little bit of thought and a lot of consciousness to think about the ways in which I am showing up authentically or not. And when I show up with my desire to receive for the self, it's inauthentic. We sense that. It's agenda. We all have it somewhere. In every interaction we have, there is some level of personal agenda. And it is normal, but it's not as authentic as we might want to be. And it's definitely not as authentic as we probably should strive to be. And so another like huge gift here for us is this idea that we want to show up as who we are in every interaction that we have. That who we are is the best version of ourselves. And so, for example, this time of the year, we have relationships that are falling apart. It might be because those are relationships that don't serve the universe, that don't serve us and don't serve the universe. Or relationships where, what's keeping it going is my inability to be my authentic self. And so it's really not aligned with where I'm at. I was talking to a fellow student earlier today about a friend who lost her job and lost her relationship. And so on one level, that's a lousy day. My partnership relationship ended and I lost my job. On the other hand, if you looked at a deeper way, she lost her job because she got a promotion to management. So, and that relationship that fell away just wasn't a relationship that was working. So it's all about moving on. It's all about going to our next level. So when we encounter these challenges in these 3 weeks, we really want to be conscious of what's going on in a deeper way. Is it blue and purple or is it red and white? It's red and white. It's us moving to our next level. Does moving to our next level include pain and challenges? Yes. And as Michael pointed out during last week's Shabbat morning lecture, where is the energy of Messiah, of Mashiach, of this energy of peace for the world? It's in the challenges and the pain that we experience. It's not necessarily going to alleviate the pain. The pain is real, but it's the pain of growth. It's like the pain of childbirth followed by the child. He actually gives that example. Like nobody who goes through the pain of childbirth and then it ends up with the child thinks that the pain wasn't worth it. They forget about the pain, maybe to a certain degree. It's like all things, we want to keep our eye on the prize. We want to be engaged in the process, but we don't want to lose sight of the blessings that come. Yes, Ron.
I just want to share that because, like, based on what you said about Michael Berg's talk, like when I was reflecting when he was, during Shabbat this past weekend, like when I first started studying Kabbalah, it was like I lost my job. I had like gotten out of a long-term relationship. And at the time, it looked like the worst time of my life, But when he was saying like it's in those dark places where the energy of Mashiach is, and I was like reflecting on that, and I was like, oh my God, that was like the like I grew so much like in that time frame, and it was really like looking back, there was like so much joy, right? Like there was so much joy in the growth, and like I really appreciated it looking back.
Absolutely. It's a great, thank you for sharing that. It's like the perspective is always going to be, God willing, the perspective should always be positive looking back, but when we're going through it, it's like, I can't believe what I'm going through. Okay, listen, we're out of time. Thank you all. Love you all. Shabbat Shalom. And we'll get together again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Shabbat
you.
Shalom, everybody.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.